So hello everyone. Today we'll look about monolithic and microservice architecture. So basically these are two common ways to design and structure backend applications, but these are not only limited to the backend application. We can extend this concept towards the front-end development and also on the system, other system design parts. So first of all, let's deep dive into the monolithic part. Monolithic architecture. Lithic. So first of all, what do you mean by the monolithic architecture? Means whenever we are follow some monolithic architecture, it means we will develop the entire application in a single unit. So develop the entire application into a single unit. Single unit. So what do we mean by the single unit? Like whenever we are follow in the monolithic architecture, we should have a single code base and single database, also single db, and also we should have a single deployment file. So suppose, let's take an example. Suppose we are developing an e-commerce application. So in the e-commerce application we should have many different types of services. Like one of them, it may be order service, one of it may be payment service, one of it may be authorization service, authorization and authentication. So both of them are internally following the same database, same db they are following internally for monolithic architecture, and also for all of them the code base will be same. Like suppose if we follow some node.js application, so for the node.js application, if we follow monolithic architecture, we for a single application we will create different types of modules. So here the problem is we should have the same tech stack for all throughout the application, same tech stack. So one of the thing is it should have single db, second one is it should have single code base, and whenever we will deploy the whole application, so we have to deploy it on a single deployment file. Means if we want to update anything on the order service, then we have to redeploy the entire thing. So this is one of the problem in monolithic architecture. To solve this problem, we have a better called as microservice architecture. So first of all, also besides the disadvantage, it have many advantages, like it is easy to maintain and it should have the less infrastructure cost. So now coming over the microservice architecture. So microservice architecture. So for the microservice architecture, we will break down the entire app, into small pieces, into small pieces. So let's take the same example. Like if we follow the e-commerce website for order service, for payment service, for authorization service, so we will create different types of service. So suppose this is the order service, it will have then in different types of database known as the order db. For authorization, it will have a separate type of database, auth db. Similarly for others also. Now if we want to deploy the entire application, we can deploy it separately. Like if we want to do modification or anything on the order service, then we can just do the changes on the order service only. Similarly for the auth service, similarly for the other service, so we don't have to redeploy the same thing again and again. So this problem is solved by this microservice pattern, whichever caused in the monolithic architecture. So also we can follow the different types of tech stack. For order service, we can follow the Java. For auth service, we can follow the Node, anything. So different type of tech stack. So for a big organization, so this solves many problems, because we have to then manage small team working on a specific requirement. So now the problem is how these services, like this is entirely in another service than this. So how these services are communicate. So let's look into the communicate. So communication among the, so this communication can happen by two ways. One of is synchronized way, and another one is the asynchronized. So for the synchronized way, there are different types of services. These may follow standard HTTP protocol, and then can communicate. Like if order service want to communicate with the auth service, it will simply do an HTTP request. Similarly, this auth service will give an response, HTTP response. Similarly, other than HTTP request, we can also follow the GraphQL, REST. These things are there. So, and for the asynchronized, so now how the asynchronized works, let's see. So for the asynchronous communication, so we have different types of message broker. Now what is message broker? So there are many type of message brokers are available: Kafka, RabbitMQ. These two are most popular one. So there is service 1. Suppose service 1 is this, and there is service 2. So if service 1 wants to communicate with the service 2, it will let the message broker know that it want to communicate, and message broker, and this message broker will handle all the things internally, how the response will get back to the service 1, how the request will get to the service 2, these things. So we will check the asynchronous communication later on in details. So basically, microservice design pattern breaks down the entire application to small pieces, and we can develop each of the services separately, and we can also deploy it separately, and we can follow different type of tech stack. But here disadvantage is like it is complex to develop. So disadvantage is it is complex to develop. Second one is the management issue. So these are the things we need to remember. So when to follow what? So if we are working on a small project, it is better to go with the monolithic one. But if we know like our service will grow rapidly, then we should follow the microservice architecture.